Peyton was a 2012 graduate of Trinity High School in Camp Hill and went on to King's College in Wilkes-Barre to study to become a physician assistant. She was really excited about working in healthcare, was anxious to get her career started, and she was a sophomore in her studies up there. We got the tragic phone call that no parent ever wants to get. It was a beautiful November morning. My husband and I had just sat down to have breakfast, and the phone rang. It was the president of King's College calling to tell us that our daughter had just been taken by ambulance to the hospital. So as you can imagine, our world turned upside down immediately. We didn't know what that meant, what to do. I mean, it's two hours away. We felt completely helpless. A few minutes after we got the first phone call, we got the second phone call from the emergency department at Wilkes-Barre Hospital, calling to let us know that our daughter had just been brought in full cardiac arrest. We had no idea what that meant. I mean, kids don't have cardiac arrest. What is it? What are they talking about? And we started an entire new journey that day. By the time we got to Wilkes-Barre, we had already lost Peyton. We did not get to say goodbye. And Peyton wanted to work in healthcare, like I said, so we thought, well, what do we do with this? The shirt she was wearing the day she died, believe it or not, said, "What we do for ourselves dies with us. What we do for others and the world remains and is immortal." So, wow, as a parent, how do you do nothing with this? And we really felt like that was Peyton's message, like, Mom and Dad, you need to do something with this. Don't let my death go to waste. So we launched the Peyton Walker Foundation. Our mission is to increase awareness and survival rates of sudden cardiac arrest. And we do this primarily through heart screenings. We're looking for these hidden heart issues in kids so that we don't have other families losing children to detectable heart conditions. And we donate AEDs, which is an automated external defibrillator, because someone who's in cardiac arrest needs to be saved with the electric shock from an AED. And in addition to that, we provide CPR and AED training all throughout the community. So we've really educated and trained hundreds of thousands of people in central Pennsylvania, and we're incredibly proud of what we've been able to accomplish to date. So sudden cardiac arrest is actually the #1 killer of student athletes in the United States today. Every single hour, every day, we're losing another child to sudden cardiac arrest. It's the #2 cause of death in youth under 25. And it's the leading cause of death on school campuses, but it's not making the headlines. And I feel like we're really missing the storyline. Again, the survival rates are so low because you really need people to jump in and start CPR, and you really need the shock from an AED to help save someone. So when someone is in sudden cardiac arrest, and sudden cardiac arrest is very different than a heart attack. A heart attack is a plumbing issue. It's basically you've got some clogs that the blood can't pump effectively. And someone who's having a heart attack usually can feel it there. They're feeling chest pain, pressure, they might be sweaty, they feel lightheaded, they don't know what's happening, but they know something's not right. Cardiac arrest is different. It is lights out. It's like when you're sitting in your house and there's a power outage. You have no idea it's about to happen. So you'll see footage, maybe some kids playing basketball or in the NBA or hockey, you've seen athletes go down on the sidelines. That's cardiac arrest, instant collapse. People typically have no idea it's about to happen. And what happens is it's an electrical malfunction. So you need the shock from an AED to stop the heart, and hopefully the heart will restart in a normal rhythm. So without that shock, the chances of survival are next to zero. So unfortunately, most sudden cardiac arrests that happen outside of the hospital, survival rates are under 10% because there's not enough AEDs out there that people have access to. And a lot of people don't know what to do. They don't recognize a sudden cardiac arrest when it takes place. A lot of times people think, oh, they're having a seizure. Let me stand back and not do anything. Wait till EMS arrives. And you can't do that. You've got to figure out this person's in cardiac arrest. We've got to get CPR started, and we've got to get an AED on them. So until we have AEDs more readily available, we're not going to get that survival rate up over 10%. Today we're going to talk about the importance of AEDs, or automated external defibrillators. You should always make sure there's an AED where your kids play and practice sports. And they come in all different shapes, sizes, weights, colors, but the important thing is they deliver the shock that's needed when somebody's in sudden cardiac arrest. Anyone can use an AED. You don't have to be trained or certified to use an AED. And the beautiful thing is it will talk you through the entire process of a rescue, which is really helpful when you're in a really high pressure panic situation. So make sure there's AEDs available where your kids play and practice sports. And again, they're super easy to use. When you get an AED, you're just going to open it up. Hopefully somebody has already started. They're working on CPR, providing CPR. And most of the pads will show you exactly where to place them. There's usually pictures on them, and it'll show you to place the pads on the chest. Some AEDs have one pad, and the whole pad goes on the chest. These AEDs all have two pads, so it shows you where to put it. And usually when you open up the AEDs, it will talk you through step by step. This one we have turned off right now, but it'll tell you exactly what to do. Then it will analyze the patient. You leave hands off. It'll analyze and it'll deliver the shock. And what's happening is with these two pads, it is delivering, you put them on either side of the heart. The heart is right in the middle. So it'll deliver a shock right through the heart. Hopefully it'll stop the heart and get it to restart at a normal rhythm. Some of them, some units you have to push a button to get the shock, but what they find is people are afraid to do that. They're afraid to push the button. So we try to give units that are fully automatic, that it'll deliver the shock. You're gonna do CPR nonstop. In fact, you should, if there's two people, somebody should continue CPR even while the pads are being put on. Like, don't stop, because that is so important to keep the blood flowing through the body. So continue CPR, and it'll tell you, hands off, analyzing patient. So that's the only time you stop CPR. And as soon as it shocks, it'll say resume CPR. And this one, it like counts for you. It'll say press, press, press. So it like tells you to do the CPR. And that's one of the things I thought that was really interesting. Talking to Sue and the other gentleman that saved the mom, he said, thank God, because you're panicked. Like, oh, what do I do? So for a layperson, Sue's a nurse, so she was a little bit more comfortable. But he said he could focus on this and listen to what this was telling him. So he got into the rhythm of doing the CPR according to what this was telling him. So it is really good. Some of them have devices on. It'll actually measure the depth that you're doing. And if you're not doing your CPR compressions deep enough, it'll say, press harder, press lighter, whatever. It'll give you the feedback. Not all of them have that, but the person, whoever's in sudden cardiac arrest is basically dead. You can't make them more dead. So by doing nothing, you give them a 0% chance of survival. By doing something, you're increasing the likelihood that they might survive. When you do CPR, you're probably going to break ribs. It's going to sound horrible. It's okay. They're dead. So you're not going to make them deader. Every minute that passes without defibrillation and without CPR, every minute leads to a 10% decrease in survival. So if if you think I'll just wait for EMS, well, if it takes EMS 12 minutes, now you're at negative 20%. Without oxygenated blood circulating through the body, your body just can't survive. So that's the most important thing, is to get the CPR going right away. But every minute counts. I mean, you want to get an AED on somebody within 2 to 3 minutes of the arrest to really have the most optimal outcome. But there was this one phone call that it's truly on the highlight reel of my life. It was a summer night, Saturday night, and I got a phone call from Sue Bruce with the Dillsburg Little League. And she was calling to tell me, and I get goosebumps even telling the story, but Sue was calling to let us know. She said, you're not going to believe this, but we just used the AED that was donated by the Peyton Walker Foundation to save the mom of a Little League player tonight. And I thought, wow, this makes our work worthwhile. I mean, we work relentlessly and tirelessly to educate the community, to get the AEDs out there, and to know that one was used to save a mom. And now this Little League player has his mom today because that AED was available. And you look at the bigger picture and it's like, I paid the ultimate price, losing my daughter, but the fact that we were able to turn that around and do something good with this. And we know like her legacy has lived on through saving other lives. So having this moment with Dillsburg Little League and knowing, if I put 1,000 AEDs out there and I know one was used to save a life, that's enough for me. So Peyton's Law is remarkable. I'm so proud of that. We had a great partner in Senator Mike Regan. He and his team really championed the entire cause of Peyton's Law. Senator Regan actually had some of his children came through one of our heart screenings. So he understood how important it was to get an electrocardiogram. He embraced it and just made sure this law got passed. So Senator Regan's office was a driving force to get legislation passed in under 12 months, which is unheard of. We had over 600 plus votes in favor of passing this legislation, not one vote in opposition. And that doesn't happen. That just shows you people get it. This is important. This is, for the health and safety of our kids and students and athletes. We've got to move in the right direction and change the future of healthcare. We've put over, I think we're about 170 AEDs all throughout central Pennsylvania, which I'm so incredibly proud of. We've got great partners that support our AED donation program and make it possible. UPMC Pinnacle has been a phenomenal partner in helping us.